I was fired for being late, 25 minutes late. The reason I stopped to help a pregnant woman change a tire in the rain. 25 minutes of kindness cost me everything. My job, my dignity, my daughter's future. My boss didn't care about reasons. He didn't care that I'd given 5 perfect years. He just wanted to humiliate me in front of everyone. But what he didn't know, what none of us knew, was that the woman I helped owned the entire company. And she was about to turn my world upside down. The alarm screamed at 5:45 a.m., but Marcus Hayes had been awake for 20 minutes already. He lay in the pre-dawn darkness staring at the water-stained ceiling of his bedroom, mentally rehearsing the presentation he'd been preparing for weeks. Today was the day that could change everything for him and Emma. He swung his legs out of bed, bare feet hitting the cold hardwood floor of their small rental on Maple Street. The autumn chill had already settled into the bones of the old place. He made a mental note again to check if they could afford to run the heat a little higher this month. Probably not. Not until after the promotion came through. If the promotion came through. Marcus pushed the thought away and padded down the narrow hallway, pausing at his daughter's door. Through the crack he could see 8-year-old Emma sprawled across her twin bed, one arm dangling off the side, the other clutching her stuffed penguin, the last gift her mother had given her. Emma's dark curls spread across the pillow like a halo. For a moment, Marcus just watched her breathe. That familiar ache in his chest never quite went away. Sarah had been gone 3 years now. 3 years since the stage 4 breast cancer took her. 3 years of being both mother and father, of packed lunches and parent-teacher conferences, of braiding hair with YouTube tutorials and trying to explain why Mommy wasn't coming back. 3 years of holding it together because Emma needed him to, and he had held it together. Barely. But today could be the turning point they desperately needed. Marcus moved to the kitchen, flicking on the light to reveal the cramped space that served as their command center. The refrigerator hummed loudly, covered in Emma's artwork held up by mismatched magnets. Bills were stacked on the counter, some opened, some he hadn't had the courage to face yet. The kitchen table, small and wobbly, held his laptop surrounded by printed spreadsheets and presentation notes. He reached for the coffee maker, the one luxury he allowed himself, and pressed the button. Nothing happened. He pressed it again. Still nothing. Marcus felt his jaw tighten as he unplugged it and plugged it back in, trying again with the same result. No, 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 he muttered, checking the outlet with his phone charger. The outlet worked fine. The coffee maker, his faithful companion through countless early mornings and late-night budgeting sessions, had finally given up the ghost. Not today. Please, not today. But begging didn't fix broken appliances. Marcus leaned against the counter, closing his eyes and taking a deep breath. It was fine. He'd get coffee at work. He had bigger things to worry about than caffeine. He pulled bread from the bag, sliding 2 slices into the toaster. While he waited, he opened the fridge to grab butter and eggs. The light inside flickered weakly, and Marcus made another mental note he couldn't afford to act on. Everything in this house was held together with hope and duct tape. The smell hit him before he saw the smoke, that acrid, burning scent that meant he'd been lost in thought too long. Damn it! He popped the lever, and 2 pieces of charcoal ejected onto the counter. He waved away the smoke, hoping the alarm wouldn't trigger and wake Emma. Of course it triggered. The shrill beeping filled the small house as Marcus grabbed a dish towel and fanned the detector. Through the noise, he heard Emma's door open. Daddy, her small voice cut through the chaos. Is there a fire? No, baby, it's okay, Marcus called out, still waving the towel. Daddy just burned the toast. Go back to bed for a few more minutes. But she was already padding into the kitchen in her princess nightgown, rubbing sleep from her eyes. It's really smoky. I know, sweetheart. I'm sorry. The alarm finally stopped, and Marcus tossed the ruined toast into the trash. He checked his watch, which was 47 a.m. His carefully planned morning was already falling apart, and he hadn't even gotten Emma dressed yet. "Are you making breakfast?" Emma climbed onto one of the kitchen chairs, her legs swinging. "I was trying to." Marcus attempted a smile. "How about cereal instead?" "Can I have the one with the marshmallows?" "Nice try. The marshmallow one is for weekends. You can have the honey wheat puffs." Emma wrinkled her nose but didn't argue. She knew the rules. They'd had the conversation about everyday cereal versus special cereal enough times that she'd memorized it along with her multiplication tables. As Marcus poured her bowl, he mentally recalculated his morning timeline. If Emma could get dressed without issue, if they could find her shoes on the first try, if traffic cooperated, he could still make it to Fresh Mart Regional Headquarters by 8:30 a.m. The presentation was at 900. He'd have just enough time to review his notes and grab that desperately needed coffee. "Daddy, can you help me pick out my clothes?" Emma asked through a mouthful of cereal. "Sure, baby. Eat up first, though. We need to move fast this morning. Daddy has a really important meeting at work." Emma's eyes widened with interest. "The one you've been practicing for? That's the one. Are you going to be the boss?" Marcus laughed softly as he rinsed the burnt pan in the sink. "Not the boss exactly. But if this goes well, I'd be a supervisor. It means more money, which means we can maybe fix the heater and you could do gymnastics like you've been asking about." "Really?" Emma's face lit up like Christmas morning. "Can I get a leotard with sparkles?" "Let's not get ahead of ourselves," Marcus cautioned, but he was smiling. This was why it mattered. Not for him, he could live on burnt toast and broken coffee makers forever. But for her, to give her the childhood she deserved, the opportunities that had been slipping through his fingers month after month. 20 minutes later, after Emma had changed outfits twice, and Marcus had located her missing shoe under the couch, they were finally ready to leave. Marcus wore his best suit, the charcoal gray one Sarah had helped him pick out years ago. It was slightly worn at the elbows, but he'd paired it with a crisp white shirt and his lucky blue tie. He looked professional, confident, like someone who deserved a promotion. He grabbed his presentation folder, his keys, and the brown paper lunch bag he'd packed for Emma the night before. "Do I look okay?" he asked Emma, straightening his tie in the hallway mirror. She studied him seriously, then nodded. "You look like a superhero going to work." "A superhero, huh?" "Yeah, like the ones that wear suits. You know, the secret identity ones." Marcus felt warmth spread through his chest. He knelt down to her level. "Thank you, sweetheart. That means a lot." He kissed her forehead. "Now let's get you to Mrs. Patterson's house, and then Daddy's got to save the world." Mrs. Patterson was their neighbor, a retired teacher who watched Emma before and after school for a price Marcus could barely afford but absolutely needed. She was a godsend, patient, kind, and genuinely fond of Emma. The morning air was crisp and heavy with moisture as they stepped outside. Dark clouds gathered on the horizon, and Marcus felt the first drops of rain as he unlocked his aging Honda Civic. The car was 12 years old with 180,000 miles on it, but it ran. And that was what mattered. He'd just buckled Emma into her booster seat when she said, "Daddy, I forgot to show you something." "What's that, baby?" She dug into her backpack and pulled out a piece of construction paper. "We had to draw our hero in school. I drew you." Marcus took the paper and his throat tightened. There he was rendered in crayon, a stick figure with dark hair and a huge smile, wearing what appeared to be angel wings. Above the drawing in Emma's careful print she'd written, "My dad, he helps people." "Emma." His voice came out rougher than he intended. "Mrs. Thompson said we're putting them up on the wall for parent night. She said mine is really good because you help people even when you're tired." Marcus pulled his daughter into a hug, pressing his face into her hair so she wouldn't see the tears pricking his eyes. "I love you so much, baby girl." "I love you too, Daddy. Even when you burn toast." He laughed, the sound breaking through the emotion. especially when I burn toast. He carefully folded the drawing and slipped it into his presentation folder. I'm keeping this with me today for luck. The drive to Mrs. Patterson's took only 5 minutes. The elderly woman answered the door in her usual cardigan and warm smile, already holding a plate of homemade banana muffins. "There's my favorite girl," Mrs. Patterson exclaimed as Emma bounded inside. "I just pulled these out of the oven." "You're a lifesaver, Helen," Marcus said gratefully. "I should be done by 5:36 at the latest." "No rush, dear. We'll have a grand time. Good luck with your meeting." "Thank you. I really appreciate everything you do." Back in the car, Marcus felt the nervous energy building. He had 45 minutes to make a 30-minute drive. Plenty of time. He merged onto the highway, mentally reviewing his opening statement. He'd researched the proposal for months, a new inventory management system that could save Freshmart Regional approximately $200,000 annually across their 12 locations. He'd run the numbers a dozen times, created detailed projections, even mocked up sample reports. His boss, Thomas Garrett, had been less than encouraging. Garrett was old school, the kind of manager who valued face time over innovation, who seemed to resent employees who showed initiative. But the regional director would be in this meeting. If Marcus could impress Mr. Morrison, Garrett's opinion wouldn't matter. The rain began in earnest as Marcus crossed into the commercial district where Freshmart's regional headquarters stood, a sleek glass building that always seemed incongruous with the blue-collar neighborhood surrounding it. He was making good time, would arrive at 8:25, have plenty of time to. That's when he saw her. On the side of the road, just past the Morrison Avenue exit, a black Mercedes sat with its hazard lights blinking. A woman stood beside it in the pouring rain, one hand waving frantically at passing traffic, the other cradling what was unmistakably a pregnant belly. Marcus's foot instinctively moved toward the brake, then hesitated over the gas pedal. His eyes flicked to the dashboard clock, 8:17 a.m. He had time, but not much. If he stopped, if there was a problem, if it took longer than a few minutes. He looked at the woman again. She was drenched, her business clothes plastered to her body, her face a mask of desperation as car after car passed her by. No one was stopping. In the rain, in the morning rush, with their own problems and schedules and deadlines, everyone just drove past. Marcus's hands tightened on the steering wheel. He thought of Emma's drawing in his folder. "My dad. He helps people." He thought of Sarah, who used to tease him about stopping to help every stranded motorist, every lost tourist, every person who looked like they needed a hand. "You're going to make us late to our own wedding," she'd joked once. But she'd loved that about him. He thought of the presentation, the promotion, the gymnastics classes, and the fixed heater and everything riding on the next hour. The woman waved again, more desperately this time. "Damn it!" Marcus muttered and pulled onto the shoulder. The rain hammered against his windshield as he put the car in park. Through the downpour, he could see the woman turn toward him, hope flooding her face. Marcus grabbed his old rain jacket from the back seat. It had a broken zipper, but it was better than nothing, and stepped out into the storm. He was soaked within seconds. "Thank God," the woman gasped as he approached. She was younger than he'd thought from the car, probably early 30s, with long blonde hair plastered to her face and mascara running down her cheeks. Her hand rested protectively on her belly, which looked about 6 or 7 months along. "I've been here for 25 minutes. No one would stop." "What's the problem?" Marcus had to raise his voice over the rain. "Flat tire. I tried to call a tow truck, but they said at least an hour, and I have—" She checked her phone with a shaking hand. "I have a critical meeting in 40 minutes downtown, and I can't miss it. I just can't." Marcus was already moving to the back of her car, noting the deflated rear passenger tire. "Do you have a spare—" "I think so. I don't know how to change it." "That's okay. I do." Marcus checked his watch, 8:19. If he worked fast, really fast, he could still make it. "Pop your trunk." The woman did, and Marcus found a spare tire kit that looked like it had never been used. He pulled out the jack and the spare, his suit jacket already ruined, his white shirt transparent with rain. He didn't care. He'd made the choice the moment he pulled over, and he'd make it again. "I'm Victoria, by the way," the woman said, hovering nearby. "Victoria Grant." "Marcus Hayes." He positioned the jack under the car's frame. "You should wait in your car, Miss Grant. No point in both of us getting soaked. I can't just sit there while you're in a suit. You must have somewhere important to be, too." "I do," Marcus admitted, cranking the jack. "But you're pregnant and stranded. That trumps a work meeting." Victoria's voice wavered. "I don't know how to thank you. Everyone just kept driving past and I started to panic. What if something happened to the baby? What if—" "Hey." Marcus paused his work to look up at her. Rain streamed down his face, but he smiled. "You're okay. The baby's okay. We're going to get you to your meeting on time." "All right." She nodded, tears mixing with the rain on her face. "You're a good person." Marcus returned to the tire, removing the lug nuts with practiced efficiency. The rain made everything harder. The wrench kept slipping. His fingers were numb, and he could barely see what he was doing through the downpour. But he'd changed dozens of tires in his life. This was just one more. "Do you have kids?" Victoria asked, still standing in the rain despite his suggestion. "A daughter, Emma, 8 years old. She's lucky to have you." "I'm the lucky one," Marcus said, wrestling the flat tire off. He checked his watch again, 8:31. His stomach dropped. Even if he left right now, even if he broke every speed limit, he'd be late. "Is your husband or partner around? Someone who could pick you up?" "No husband, no partner, just me and this little one." Victoria's hand moved over her belly again. "I know people think I should have waited, done things in the right order, but I wanted this baby. I chose this." Marcus threaded the lug nuts back on, tightening them in a star pattern the way his father had taught him 30 years ago. "You don't have to explain your life to me. The only right order is the one that works for you." Victoria was quiet for a moment. "Not everyone sees it that way, especially in business, especially when you're a woman." "Then they're idiots," Marcus said simply. "Any company worth working for would see that being a parent, any kind of parent, makes you stronger, not weaker. It gives you something real to work for." The tire was on. Marcus lowered the jack and tossed the flat into her trunk, his presentation time ticking away with each passing second. 9. He was officially late. Even if he left right this second, even if there were no traffic lights, no slow drivers, no obstacles between here and the office, he couldn't make it. The promotion was slipping through his fingers like the rain soaking through his clothes. But Victoria was safe. Her baby was safe. She could make her meeting. "All set," Marcus said, closing her trunk. "Drive carefully. The spare isn't meant for the high speeds. Get to a tire shop when you can." Victoria grabbed his arm. "Please let me pay you. I can Venmo you or—" "No payment needed." Marcus was already backing toward his car. "Just pay it forward someday. Help someone else when they need it." "Wait, at least take my card." Victoria fumbled in her purse, pulled out a business card that was soaked through and pressed it into his hand. "Please, I want to thank you properly. Call me." Marcus glanced at the card, too wet to read, and shoved it in his jacket pocket. "Take care of yourself, and that baby Victoria." He ran back to his Honda, threw himself into the driver's seat, and checked the clock. 8:42 a.m. The meeting started in 18 minutes. The drive would take at least 20, possibly more in this weather. Marcus pulled onto the highway, his hands shaking now from cold, from adrenaline, from the dawning realization of what he'd just done. He'd sacrificed his shot at the promotion for a stranger. He'd put someone else's crisis above his own dreams, his daughter's needs, their future. Sarah would have been proud, but would Emma understand when they couldn't afford gymnastics, when they had to choose between fixing the heater and buying winter clothes? when Daddy had to explain that good deeds didn't pay the bills. His phone rang through the car's Bluetooth. Garrett. Marcus's jaw clenched. He considered not answering, but that would only make things worse. He pressed the button on his steering wheel. "Hayes, where the hell are you?" "I'm 10 minutes out, sir. I had an emergency." "The meeting starts in 15 minutes. Mr. Morrison is already here." "I know, and I'm so sorry, but there was a woman stranded on the highway. She was pregnant, and I don't care if the president was stranded on the highway, Hayes. You were supposed to be here." Marcus felt anger flash through his chest. "Sir, with all due respect, I'm doing everything I can to get there. I'll be there by 9:15 at the latest. The presentation is solid. I just need 9:15. Hayes, your slot is at 9:00. You think Morrison is going to wait around for you? You think your little inventory project is the only thing on his agenda? Can we push it back? No, we cannot push it back." Garrett's voice dropped to something dangerous. "You know what? Don't even bother coming in. You just made your priorities crystal clear, and this company isn't one of them." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. "Mr. Garrett, please. I'm literally pulling into the parking lot right now." He wasn't, but he was close. "I can present at 9:15 or later or tomorrow. Just give me a chance to—" "You had your chance. You blew it. We'll discuss your future here when you arrive. If you arrive." The line went dead. Marcus's hands were white-knuckled on the steering wheel. The rain blurred everything outside the other cars, the highway signs, the world itself dissolving into gray water. He felt something rising in his throat, something that might have been a scream or a sob, or both. But he swallowed it down. He always swallowed it down because he was Marcus Hayes' single-father survivor, the man who held it together. No matter what, he made it to the Fresh Mart lot at 8:54, 6 minutes before the meeting, which would have been plenty of time if he hadn't been soaking wet and disheveled. Marcus sat in his car for a moment staring at his reflection in the rearview mirror. His hair was plastered to his head, his shirt was transparent, his tie hung limp and pathetic. He looked like he'd swam to work. He looked like exactly what he was, a desperate man who'd made a choice and would now pay the price. Marcus grabbed his presentation folder, thank God it had been in the car, not on him, and ran through the rain to the building entrance. His shoes squished with every step, leaving wet footprints on the polished lobby floor. The receptionist's eyes widened as he passed. "Mr. Hayes, where's the meeting? Conference room B." But he took the stairs 2 at a time, his breath coming in gasps. Second floor down the hall, past the break room and the accounting department. Conference room B. He could see it through the glass walls, a long table with a dozen people seated around it, including Thomas Garrett at the head and an older man in an expensive suit who had to be Mr. Morrison. Someone else was standing now, presenting their own proposal, their chance, their opportunity. Marcus pushed through the door at exactly 9:01 a.m. Every head turned. The conversation died. Marcus stood there, dripping onto the carpet, holding his folder like a shield. "Sorry I'm late," he began. "I had an emergency." "Hayes." Garrett's voice could have frozen the rain outside. "Step outside. Now." "Sir, I can explain." "Outside. Now." The other people in the room wouldn't meet Marcus's eyes. They all suddenly found their notepads fascinating, their coffee cups requiring urgent attention. Only Mr. Morrison looked at him directly, his expression unreadable. Marcus felt his face burning as he backed out of the conference room. Garrett followed, closing the door behind them with deliberate care. "Sir, there was a pregnant woman stranded in the rain. I don't want to hear it, Hayes. Her tire was flat and no one was stopping, and you couldn't just show up on time for the most important meeting of your career. You couldn't just do your job." Marcus's hands tightened on his folder. My job as a human being is to help when someone needs your job," Garrett said, his voice low and dangerous. is whatever this company tells you it is. Your job is to be here on time, ready to work, not playing Good Samaritan on the highway. She was pregnant and alone, and you were late. Again. Marcus felt his stomach drop. Again, I've never been late. Not once in 5 years. Garrett pulled out his phone, tapped a few times, and showed Marcus the screen. 3 weeks ago. 7 minutes late. Marcus remembered. My daughter was sick. I had to take her to Mrs. Patterson's and she threw up in the car and I had to clean. I don't care about your excuses, Hayes. I care about results. I care about commitment. I care about employees who put this company first. Above my daughter, above someone who needed help. Yes. Garrett's voice rose, echoing in the empty hallway. Yes, above everything else, because that's what it means to be a professional. That's what it means to deserve a promotion. He paused, crossing his arms. And clearly, you don't have what it takes. Marcus felt something break inside him, something that had been cracking for 3 years since Sarah died, since he'd been trying to be everything to everyone and failing at all of it. You're right, he said quietly. I don't have what it takes to be the kind of person who drives past someone in trouble. I don't have what it takes to put a meeting ahead of someone's safety. And if that's what this company values, then maybe I don't belong here. Finally, something we agree on. Garrett's expression was cold. You're fired, Hayes. The words seemed to come from very far away. What? You're fired, effective immediately. Clean out your desk and leave your badge with security. You can't. I have bills. I have Emma. I need this job. You should have thought of that before you decided to play hero. Garrett turned back toward the conference room. I'll have HR process your final paycheck. It'll include your remaining PTO, so you should get about 2 weeks' pay. Use it to work on your time management. Thomas, please. Marcus hated the desperation in his voice, but he couldn't stop it. Please. I've worked here for 5 years. I've never missed a deadline. Never had a customer complaint. Never. You were late. You missed your presentation. You wasted Mr. Morrison's time. Those are the facts, Hayes. Everything else is just excuses. Garrett paused with his hand on the conference room door. You know what your problem is? You think being a nice guy matters. It doesn't. Results matter. Reliability matters. And you just proved you have neither. Garrett walked back into the conference room, leaving Marcus standing alone in the hallway, dripping rainwater onto the carpet, holding a presentation no one would ever see. Through the glass walls, Marcus could see the meeting resuming. Someone else was standing now, presenting their own proposal. Life at Freshmart Regional was moving on without him, as if he'd never existed. Marcus walked to his tiny desk in the corner of the third-floor workspace. Not even a cubicle, just a desk in the open floor plan where everyone could hear everyone else's calls and smell everyone else's lunches. It had never bothered him before. He'd been grateful just to have a job. His things fit into a single cardboard box. A framed picture of Emma. His world's best dad mug, a Mother's Day gift she'd been so proud of. A stapler he'd bought himself because the company ones kept disappearing, and the crayon drawing Emma had made. My dad. He helps people. Marcus sat at his desk, his former desk, and stared at that drawing. The rain continued outside, softer now, like the sky itself was exhausted. Around him, his co-workers pretended to work while obviously watching his humiliation. A few looked sympathetic. Most looked away. This was what kindness bought you in the real world, a box of personal items and 2 weeks' severance. His phone buzzed, a text from Mrs. Patterson. Emma wants to know if you got the promotion. She's so excited. Marcus stared at the message, his vision blurring. How was he supposed to tell his daughter? How was he supposed to explain that Daddy lost his job because he stopped to help someone, that he'd learned all the wrong lessons about what mattered in life? Another buzz. Mrs. Patterson again. She says she knew you'd get it because you're a superhero. Marcus closed his eyes and let the tears come silent and hot, rolling down his face as he sat at his desk surrounded by co-workers who pretended not to notice. He cried for his lost job, for his daughter's broken dreams, for every bill he wouldn't be able to pay, and every opportunity that had just evaporated. But mostly he cried because even now, even after everything he knew, he'd make the same choice again. If he saw Victoria Grant stranded in the rain tomorrow, he'd stop, because that was who he was. And apparently that was exactly who the world didn't need. Marcus closed the box, picked it up, and walked to the elevator. With each step, he felt the weight of failure pressing down on him. The elevator doors opened, and he stepped inside, turning to face the office one last time. Through the glass walls of Conference Room B, he could see Garrett laughing at something Mr. Morrison had said. Neither of them looked his way. The elevator doors closed on his career at Freshmart Regional, closed on 5 years of loyalty and hard work, closed on the promotion that would have changed everything. And all Marcus could think about was Emma's face when he had to tell her Daddy wasn't a superhero after all. He was just unemployed. The rain had stopped by the time Marcus pulled into Mrs. Patterson's driveway, but the sky remained gray and heavy, as if the world itself was holding its breath. He sat in his car for a long moment, staring at the cardboard box on the passenger seat. Inside it was everything he'd accumulated in 5 years at Freshmart Regional. It looked pathetic. It looked like exactly what his career had amounted to, a few personal items that could be packed up in 5 minutes and forgotten in 6. He checked his phone, 11:47 a.m. Emma wouldn't be home from school until 3:30. He had nearly 4 hours to figure out what he was going to tell her. 4 hours to practice smiling while his world crumbled. 4 hours to become the father she deserved instead of the failure he actually was. Marcus forced himself out of the car, leaving the box behind. He'd get it later. Right now he couldn't bear to carry that physical reminder of his humiliation into Helen Patterson's warm safe house. Mrs. Patterson answered on the second knock, her face brightening, before confusion crossed it. "Marcus, what are you doing here? I thought you had that big meeting." "I did. It didn't go as planned." His voice came out smaller than he intended. Helen Patterson looked at him, his rumpled suit still damp, his tie askew, his face probably showing exactly how he felt, and her weathered hand found his. "Oh, honey. Come inside." "I can't stay long," Marcus heard himself say, but he followed her into the cozy living room anyway, sinking onto her floral couch as if all the strings holding him upright had been cut. Helen sat beside him, her hand gripping his. She didn't ask what happened. She just waited. The way good teachers learn to wait, giving him space to find the words. "I got fired." "Oh, Marcus." "I was late to the meeting because I stopped to help someone and my boss fired me. 5 years of perfect service, and it all came down to 25 minutes of kindness." Helen's grip tightened on his hand. "Oh, Marcus." "How am I supposed to tell Emma she thinks I'm a superhero? She drew me with angel wings, Helen. Angel wings." His voice cracked. "And I'm just a guy who can't even keep a job, who can't provide for his daughter, who can't—" "Stop." Helen's voice was firm, the same tone she'd probably used on countless students over the years. "Stop that right now. You did the right thing, Marcus Hayes. You helped someone who needed it. That's not failure. That's integrity." "Integrity doesn't pay the mortgage." "No, but it's what your daughter will remember. Not whether you were a supervisor or an associate, but whether you were a good man." Helen stood, moving to her kitchen. "When was the last time you ate—" Marcus couldn't remember. Breakfast had been burnt toast he'd thrown away. "I'm not hungry." That wasn't the question. She was already pulling out bread, lunch meat, cheese. Marcus wanted to protest, but exhaustion won. He let her make him a sandwich while he pulled out his laptop and started the brutal reality of job searching. Retail management positions, warehouse supervisor openings, inventory coordination roles. He started applying one after another, knowing that his resume now had a giant black mark, terminated for cause. His phone rang. Unknown number. Marcus almost ignored it. Probably another recruiter, but something made him answer. Marcus Hayes. Yes. Mr. Hayes, my name is Patricia Morales from Horizon Community Solutions. We received your resume and would like to schedule an interview. Marcus stopped typing. I didn't apply to your organization. A pause. That's odd. We have your resume in our system submitted this morning. Perhaps through a job board. Marcus hadn't submitted anything today. He'd been busy getting fired. What position is this for? Community Outreach Coordinator, 52 to 58,000 depending on experience. Are you available tomorrow at 10 a.m., 52 to 58,000? That was 10,000 more than he'd been making at Freshmart. Yes, absolutely yes. After hanging up, Marcus stared at his phone like it had just spoken to him in a foreign language. Someone had submitted his resume without telling him. Someone had recommended him for a job he didn't apply for. Someone with excellent judgment, Patricia had said. He pulled out Victoria Grant's business card from his wet jacket pocket, still damp but readable now. Victoria Grant, CEO, Grant Industries. He Googled it. His breath caught. Grant Industries. Massive conglomerate. Owned 40-plus companies across retail logistics manufacturing. Estimated net worth of CEO $400 million. And buried deep in the portfolio list, Freshmart Regional. The woman he'd helped owned the company that just fired him. Marcus's hands were shaking as he scrolled through more results. Victoria Grant, age 35. Stanford MBA, Forbes, 30. Under 30 years ago. And there a photo of her at some charity gala, elegant in an evening gown, smiling confidently at the camera. The same woman who'd stood in the rain, desperate and alone. Helen. His voice came out strange. The woman I helped this morning. She owns Freshmart. She owns the company that just fired me. Helen dried her hands and came to look at his screen. And now someone submitted your resume to a non-profit. It has to be her. But why she doesn't owe me anything? Maybe, Helen said gently, she disagrees. Marcus felt a complicated tangle of emotions, hope, fear, skepticism, gratitude, all knotted together. Should he call Victoria? Thank her. Ask why. He looked at the clock. 12:30. Emma would be home in 3 hours. He had an interview tomorrow with a job he didn't apply for, arranged by a woman he barely knew, offering a salary that could actually change their lives. This morning, he'd been fired. Now he had a chance at something better. It didn't make sense. The universe didn't work like that. Did it? His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Mr. Hayes. This is Victoria Grant. I hope I'm not overstepping. Can we talk? Marcus stared at the message. Then he called her. She answered on the first ring. Marcus, thank you for calling back. Miss Grant, did you submit my resume to Horizon Community Solutions? I did. I hope that's all right. After this morning, I looked into what happened. I called Thomas Garrett. Do you know what he told me? Marcus's stomach tightened. What? He said you were unreliable, that you'd been late multiple times, that firing you was justified, so I requested your personnel file from Freshmart's HR department. Her voice hardened. Marcus, you had 5 years of perfect reviews, 5 years of exceeding expectations. One instance of being 7 minutes late last month when your daughter was sick. That's it. Thomas Garrett lied to me, to the CEO of his parent company. He lied to you. He did. And I don't tolerate dishonesty in my organizations. So yes, I called Patricia Morales. She's a friend and someone I trust completely. I told her about you. I gave her your file, your performance reviews, everything that showed what kind of employee you really are. Marcus couldn't process this. Why? Why would you do that? Victoria's voice softened. Because what happened to you was wrong. You helped me when I needed it, and you lost your job for that. I had the power to do something about it, so I did. But I didn't help you expecting anything in return. I know. That's exactly why I wanted to help you. A pause. Marcus, the interview tomorrow is real. Patricia makes her own hiring decisions. But I wanted you to have a fair shot, that's all. What you do with it is up to you. After they hung up, Marcus sat very still. Helen was watching him with knowing eyes. The universe works in mysterious ways, she said quietly. Marcus picked up Emma from school that afternoon with a smile he didn't have to force. When she bounced out in a flood of other third graders, her backpack nearly as big as she was, her whole face lit up. Daddy, did you get it? Did you get the promotion? Marcus knelt to her level, helping with her seatbelt. The meeting didn't go the way I planned, sweetheart. But I have another opportunity. A different job, actually. I have an interview tomorrow. Emma processed this with the seriousness of someone weighing a major life decision. Will you still be able to come to my school play? Of course I will. Nothing would make me miss your school play. Okay. She brightened immediately, moving past disappointment to the next thing. Can we get ice cream? Marcus checked his mental budget. He had $43 in cash, enough to last until his final paycheck hit. Ice cream would cost maybe $8 for both of them. Could he afford it? Technically no, but could he afford to say no to Emma right now? Sure, baby. Ice cream sounds perfect. They went to Scoops and Smiles, the local shop, where Emma always ordered mint chocolate chip, and Marcus always got coffee flavor. They sat at their usual table by the window, and Marcus watched his daughter attack her cone with single-minded focus. And then Marcus said his dad could beat up anybody's dad. And I said, my dad has angel wings. And he said, dads don't have wings. And I said, mine does. Marcus smiled despite everything. Emma, I'm not actually a superhero, you know. I'm just a regular dad who tries his best. She looked at him with those huge brown eyes. That's what makes you a superhero, Daddy. You try your best even when things are hard. Marcus had to look away, focusing on his coffee ice cream that he could barely taste. That evening, after Emma was asleep, Marcus sat at the kitchen table with his laptop and the beer he probably shouldn't have spent money on. He researched Horizon Community Solutions obsessively. The organization was impressive, a nonprofit focused on improving community services, connecting resources with needs, developing sustainable programs for underserved populations. Their website showed smiling faces of people they'd helped, testimonials from partner organizations, and a mission statement that actually seemed to mean something. It was the kind of place Sarah would have loved. Around 9 p.m., Helen called. How are you holding up? I don't know. This morning I was unemployed and terrified. Now I have an interview for a job that pays better than Freshmart ever did. It doesn't make sense. Maybe it doesn't have to make sense. Maybe you just accept the blessing and do your best with it. Marcus wanted to believe that, but years of struggling had taught him to be suspicious of things that seemed too good to be true. The next morning, Marcus arrived at Horizon Community Solutions 30 minutes early. The building was in a renovated, historic district, the third-floor office bright and welcoming. Photos of community projects covered the walls. A garden initiative, a literacy program, job training for formerly incarcerated individuals. The receptionist smiled warmly. Marcus Hayes, Dr. Morales is expecting you. Can I get you some water or coffee? Water would be great. Thank you. He sat in the waiting area studying the photos more carefully. These were the kinds of programs Sarah had dreamed about supporting, the kind of work that actually changed lives instead of just maximizing profits. Mr. Hayes, Patricia Morales was younger than he'd expected, maybe late 40s, with sharp eyes and a warm smile. Thank you for coming in on such short notice. Let's talk in my office. Her office was organized chaos files and charts and photos of success stories covering every surface. A window overlooked the street below. Patricia gestured to a chair across from her desk and sat with a folder Marcus recognized as his resume. "I'll be honest with you, Marcus. May I call you Marcus?" He nodded. "We don't usually do things this way. Normally, we have a formal application process, multiple interview rounds, the whole 9 yards. But sometimes exceptional circumstances call for exceptional measures." She leaned forward. "Tell me what happened yesterday morning before you came to work." Marcus's stomach tightened. "You know about that." "I know Victoria Grant recommended you. I know you have a spotless record at Freshmart until yesterday. And I know there's a story here. So tell me what happened." So Marcus did. He told her about the rain, about Victoria stranded with her flat tire, about the choice between his meeting and someone else's crisis. He told her about changing the tire in his suit, about arriving late, about getting fired. He kept his voice level professional, but he couldn't quite keep the bitterness out when he described Garrett telling him that kindness didn't matter. When he finished, Patricia was quiet for a long moment. Then she opened her desk drawer and pulled out a piece of paper, a crayon drawing of a stick figure with angel wings and the words, "My dad, he helps people." Marcus's breath caught. "Where did you get that?" "From someone who thinks very highly of you. Someone who witnessed exactly the kind of character we need in this organization." Patricia slid the drawing across the desk. "This is what we hire for Marcus. Not just skills or experience, though you have plenty of both, but values. The ability to see another person in need and choose to help even when it costs you something." "But I don't have the qualifications," Marcus insisted, even as hope bloomed treacherously in his chest. "I've never done nonprofit work. I don't have a degree in social services or community development or whatever this requires." "You have something better. You have empathy, organizational skills, and a track record of reliability. Your former employer may not have valued those things, but we do." Patricia pulled out a job description. "The position is Community Outreach Coordinator. You'd be launching a new program called Pathways Forward Job Training and Placement for Underemployed Adults. 55,000 starting salary, full benefits, 3 weeks vacation." Marcus tried not to react. That was 13,000 more than Freshmart. "Before I offer you the position, I need to ask, how do you feel about Victoria's involvement? Some staff might perceive favoritism. How would you handle that?" Marcus thought carefully. "By doing excellent work, by proving I belong here, and by being transparent. If someone asks how I got the interview, I'll tell them the truth. Someone gave me a shot I wouldn't have gotten otherwise, and I'm grateful. But what happens next is up to me." Patricia studied him, expression unreadable. "Marcus, I'm going to be straight with you. When Victoria called me about you, my first instinct was to say no. I don't like board members involving themselves in hiring. It creates complications." Marcus's heart sank. "But then I looked at your employment record. 5 years perfect performance reviews, multiple commendations, 0 complaints. And you were fired for being late one time because you helped someone. That told me everything I needed to know about your priorities." She stood, extending her hand. "I'm offering you the job, but I need you to understand this isn't a favor to Victoria. This is me betting on your potential. Don't make me regret it." Marcus shook her hand, stunned. "I won't. I promise. Welcome to Horizon Community Solutions, Marcus. You start Monday." Walking out of that building in a daze, Marcus sat in his car for 5 minutes, just trying to process what had happened. 24 hours ago, he'd been fired. Now he had a better job than the one he'd lost, with better pay, with a better mission, with everything better. But how and why? And what would happen when the rest of the staff learned about his connection to Victoria? He called Helen. "I got it. I got the job." Her squeal of delight made him pull the phone away from his ear. "Marcus, that's wonderful. I knew it would work out. I still don't understand how this happened. Does it matter?" Sometimes we just need to accept blessings when they come. But Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this was too easy, that there would be a price to pay, that somewhere, somehow, this would blow up in his face. Monday morning came fast. Marcus arrived 30 minutes early wearing the same charcoal suit, now dry cleaned and pressed. The office culture was completely different from Freshmart, casual but professional. No cubicles, just open workspace with plants and natural light. People wore jeans and sweaters, not suits. They smiled, collaborated, seemed to actually enjoy being there. Patricia met him in the lobby. "Marcus, right on time. I like that about you already." She handed him a visitor badge. "We'll get you a permanent ID card by the end of the week. Come on, let me show you to your office." Office, yes. Marcus had assumed he'd have a cubicle, maybe shared workspace. "You're a program coordinator. Of course you have an office." She led him down a hallway, past the reception desk, past a break room where several people gathered around a coffee maker. She stopped at a door near the end of the hall. "Here we are. It's small, but it's yours." Small was an understatement. The office was maybe 10 by 10 feet, with a window overlooking the street, a desk with a computer, 2 chairs for visitors, and an empty bookshelf. But it was his. After 5 years of working at a desk in an open floor plan where everyone could hear his phone calls, this tiny room felt like a palace. The computer password is taped underneath the keyboard. "I know, terrible security, but we'll have you set up a new one today. There's a welcome packet in the top drawer with all the paperwork HR needs. And this," Patricia handed him a folder, "is the overview of your first project." Marcus opened the folder and saw a proposal for a community initiative called Pathways Forward. The goal was to connect underemployed adults with training programs and employment opportunities. Budget $120,000 for the first year. Goal: serve 40 participants, 70% job placement rate. Timeline: launch in 8 weeks. "This is incredible," Marcus said, scanning the document. "It's also a lot of work. You'll be coordinating with multiple partner organizations, tracking dozens of participants, managing a budget, and reporting outcomes to our board of directors." Patricia leaned against his desk. "Marcus, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. This program is going to be challenging. You'll make mistakes. You'll have setbacks. But I believe you can do it. I won't let you down." "I know you won't. Staff meeting is at 9 in the main conference room. That'll give you a chance to meet everyone." After she left, Marcus sat at his desk, and took a long moment to just breathe. Through his window, he could see the street below. People walking to work, cars passing by. The ordinary rhythm of a Monday morning. But nothing about this felt ordinary. The staff meeting at 9 was exactly what Marcus needed to feel grounded. The team at Horizon Community Solutions was smaller than he'd expected, only about 15 people, but they were passionate, articulate, genuinely committed to the work. Patricia introduced him. "Everyone, I want you to meet Marcus Hayes, our new community outreach coordinator. Marcus will be launching Pathways Forward." Warm applause. Marcus stood, feeling every eye on him. "Hi, I'm Marcus. I come from retail management, so this is new territory for me. I'm excited to learn from all of you. Welcome to the team." A woman in her early 40s smiled. "I'm Jennifer Kim, Housing Program Manager. If you need anything, just ask." Others introduced themselves: Rafael Santos from Youth Services, Maya Johnson from Education Programs, and then Derek Price, Volunteer Coordinator. A man in his early 40s, arms crossed. "So you're Patricia's special project." The room went quiet. "I'm the new Community Outreach Coordinator," Marcus said carefully. "Right. The guy Victoria Grant personally recommended. We all got the memo." Others looked uncomfortable. Jennifer shook her head slightly at Derek. Patricia intervened. "Derek, we'll discuss this later. Marcus, let's get you settled." As they dispersed, Marcus realized this was going to be harder than he thought. The first week was a blur of orientation system training and information overload. Marcus met with Patricia to discuss pathways forward in detail. He met with the IT manager to get set up on their database. He met with the finance director to review his program budget. He met with the communications coordinator to discuss outreach strategies. By Friday, his head was spinning with names and processes and acronyms. But Derek's hostility was constant. In the break room, Marcus would enter and Derek would leave. In meetings, Derek would question every suggestion Marcus made. In hallway conversations, Derek would make pointed comments about nepotism and special treatment. The second Monday, Marcus made his first mistake. He'd scheduled 2 meetings for the same time, one with a potential training partner and one with Jennifer about participant recruitment. He'd been so careful with his calendar, but somehow the overlap happened. Maya had pulled him into an impromptu conversation about space logistics, and he'd lost track of time. At 2:45, his phone rang. Patricia. Marcus, Ms. Washington from Portland Skills Center is here for your 2:30 meeting. His stomach dropped. Oh, God. I'm in a meeting with Jennifer. I thought that was at 3. I'm coming. He ran down the hallway, hair slightly mussed, breathing hard. Ms. Washington, a woman in her early 50s with a no-nonsense expression, stood in the reception area with Patricia. Ms. Washington, I'm deeply sorry. I mixed up my schedule and... We're on tight schedules here, Mr. Hayes. I don't have time for disorganization. The meeting lasted 15 minutes instead of the planned 60. Ms. Washington left with a vague promise to consider the partnership, but no real commitment. After she left, Patricia closed her office door. Marcus, sit down. Patricia, I'm so sorry. That was a stupid mistake. I don't want excuses. I want results. Her voice was sharp. Marcus, I vouched for you. I told the board you were worth taking a chance on. But you have to step up. This isn't Freshmart. We can't just order new inventory if we mess up. These partnerships, these participants, they're depending on us. I understand. It won't happen again. It can't, because Derek is out there right now telling everyone you're not qualified. Don't prove him right. That hit harder than the firing had. Marcus left her office feeling like he'd failed before he'd really started. Week 3 brought the real test. Marcus had recruited 8 participants for the pilot cohort of Pathways Forward. Diverse backgrounds, 2 in healthcare training, 3 in IT, 2 in skilled trades, 1 in construction. He'd spent dozens of hours on intake interviews, coordinating with training centers, setting up tracking systems. One of his first participants was Robert Anderson. 28 years old, former addict, 2 years sober, wanted to rebuild his life. He'd worked construction before addiction destroyed his career, lost custody of his 5-year-old daughter, been living in sober housing fighting every single day. Marcus saw himself in Rob's desperation, the same threadbare hope, the same fear that one mistake would destroy everything. This is my chance, Rob said in their first meeting. Get certified, get steady work, eventually get my daughter back. I won't screw this up, Mr. Hayes, I promise. The first week went great. Rob showed up early to training, engaged, asked questions. Marcus was proud. He told Patricia he's going to be one of our success stories. Week 2, Rob missed a session. Marcus called, no answer. The next day, Rob showed up with a vague apology about family issues. Week 3, Rob missed 2 sessions. Marcus drove to the sober living facility. The manager shook his head. Rob moved out 3 days ago. Don't know where he went. Marcus's stomach sank. Week 4, police called. Rob had been arrested for drug possession, violating probation, facing 18 months. Marcus visited him in jail. Rob sat on the other side of the glass, devastated, ashamed. I screwed up. I'm sorry. I let you down. What happened? Ran into old friends. They said just one time. I thought I could handle it. I was wrong. Tears streamed down Rob's face. I'm a failure. I'm always a failure. Marcus leaned forward, hand pressed against the glass. You're not a failure until you stop trying. And I haven't given up on you yet. But Derek had a different perspective. At the next staff meeting, after news of Rob spread, this is why these programs don't work. You can't save people who don't want to be saved. He wanted to be saved, Marcus shot back. He slipped. And now Pathways Forward has a failure before it's even 3 months old. Great start, Marcus, Patricia intervened. Derek, enough. Rob is a person, not a statistic. But the damage was done. Whispers started. Marcus doesn't know what he's doing. He only got this job because of Victoria Grant. He's going to make us all look bad. Marcus worked 70-hour weeks trying to prove them wrong. The other 7 participants were thriving. Linda Martinez, a 42-year-old single mom, completed medical billing certification and got a hospital job at $38,000 a year. James Porter, a 55-year-old laid-off machinist, was placed at a manufacturing plant making $45,000. Keisha Brown, a 29-year-old formerly homeless woman, was excelling in IT training. But all anyone seemed to remember was Rob. Week 8 brought the crisis Marcus had been dreading. Thomas Garrett resurfaced. Marcus received an email. Subject, recommendation request. Marcus, a potential employer, has contacted me for a reference. As your former supervisor, I'm obligated to provide an honest assessment. I wanted to give you a heads up that I'll be describing the circumstances of your termination, including your unreliability and poor judgment. Best regards, Thomas. Marcus's hands shook as he called Patricia. Did you contact my former employer? No. Our background check went through HR, not supervisors. Why? Marcus explained. Patricia's expression darkened. That's concerning. Let me make some calls. An hour later, she came to his office and closed the door. Marcus Thomas Garrett has been calling partner organizations in our network. 3 of them, telling them you were fired for cause that you're unreliable, that working with you is a risk. Can he do that? Technically, yes. He's not lying you were fired. He's just framing it to damage you. Patricia sat down. This is never going to stop, is it? He's going to follow you everywhere. Not if we get ahead of it. You need to control your narrative. That weekend, Marcus met with Victoria for the first time since the tire change. She'd suggested coffee at a place called The Mill on Morrison Avenue. When he arrived, she was already there, 8 months pregnant, now looking tired but focused. Marcus? She stood carefully. Thank you for meeting me. Thank you for everything. He sat across from her. I still don't understand why you did it. Because what happened to you was wrong, and I was in a position to do something about it. Victoria wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. I heard about Thomas's campaign. Patricia called me. He's trying to destroy me before I even have a chance. I know. And I want to stop him. I can fire him, Marcus. 1 phone call. He'd be gone by tomorrow. Marcus felt torn. That would just prove Derek right, that I'm using you for revenge. Or it would prove that actions have consequences. Thomas destroyed you for helping someone. He lied to his superior. He's now actively sabotaging you. Why should he get away with it? Because if you fire him, I'll never know if I earned my success or if it was just handed to me. Victoria's eyes showed respect. So what do you want to do? I want to succeed so completely that his opinion becomes irrelevant. They talked for another hour discussing pathways forward, the challenges ahead, the pressure Marcus was under. Victoria shared details about her own struggles, being a female CEO, being pregnant and single in the corporate world, the constant need to prove herself. As Marcus left, a man with a camera took their photo through the window. 3 days later, the article appeared. Non-Profit Transparency Watch published a piece titled Grant Industries CEO Accused of Using Donor Influence to Secure Job for Friend. The article detailed everything, Marcus helping Victoria being fired. Victoria sitting on Horizon's board, Marcus hired within days. Photos of them at the coffee shop. quotes from anonymous sources suggesting favoritism. The comments section exploded. Social media picked it up. Local news covered it. Within 48 hours, Marcus Hayes was a minor controversy. Patricia called an emergency board meeting. Derek told co-workers, "See, I told you." Jennifer looked concerned. Raphael was supportive but quiet. Marcus read the comments on his phone while putting Emma to bed. She'd seen some kids at school talking about it. "Daddy, why are people being mean to you? Because they don't understand the whole story, baby." "Then tell them." Marcus smiled, despite everything. Emma made it sound so simple. The next morning, a reporter from the local NPR affiliate requested an interview. Patricia advised, "Be honest, tell your story, but be careful." Marcus agreed. The interview aired that evening. The reporter Jessica Torres was tough but fair. "Critics say you got this job because of your relationship with Victoria Grant." "I got the interview because of Victoria Grant. I got the job because Patricia Morales believed I could do it. There's a difference." "But don't you see how this looks?" "I see how it looks. I also see the work I'm doing." 7 participants in Pathways Forward have gotten jobs in the past 8 weeks. Real jobs with real benefits supporting real families. That's what matters to me. One participant, Robert Anderson, was arrested. Doesn't that prove the program isn't working? It proves the work is hard. Rob made a mistake. But he's human. We don't give up on people because they stumble. We help them get back up. The interview went viral, but reactions were split. Some people sympathized. Others remained critical. Thomas Garrett posted on LinkedIn, "Some people earn their success. Others have it handed to them." The post got 50,000 views. Marcus was reading it on his phone when Emma climbed into his lap. "Are you okay?" "I don't know, baby, but we're going to find out." Week 12 brought Patricia's ultimatum. "Marcus, the board is concerned. The publicity, Rob's arrest, Derek's complaints, it's adding up. They want a 3-month review instead of 6 months. You have 4 weeks to show results." 4 weeks? I know it's not fair, but fair doesn't matter right now. Results do. Marcus worked like a man possessed. He doubled down on the 7 successful participants. He visited Rob in jail every week. He documented every success, every placement, every family stabilized. He created detailed reports showing outcomes, cost per participant, return on investment. And he started preparing for what he knew was coming, the board meeting, where he'd have to defend not just his program, but his right to be there at all. 3 weeks later, Victoria went into labor. 3 weeks early, just like the article said, might happen. She called Marcus at midnight. "I'm at St. Mary's Hospital. Can you come? My parents are in Florida, and I don't want to do this alone." Marcus hesitated. "Victoria, I barely know you. You're the only person I trust right now. Please." He called Helen to watch Emma and drove to the hospital. Victoria was in active labor, 6 centimeters dilated, scared despite her CEO composure. "I'm terrified," she admitted between contractions. "What if I'm a terrible mother?" "You won't be. You're already thinking about what's best for your child. That's all parenting is." They talked for hours between contractions. Marcus held her hand, reminded her to breathe, told her stories about Emma's birth, to distract her from the pain. At 2:37 a.m., Ethan Grant was born 7 pounds 2 ounces healthy. Cry. Perfect. Victoria held him weeping. "Hi, baby. I'm your mom." Marcus witnessed it from the corner of the room, feeling profound gratitude for being included in such a sacred moment. "Marcus," Victoria looked up at him, "I want you to be Ethan's godfather. Not in a religious sense, I'm not particularly religious, but in the sense of someone who's committed to being in his life. Will you?" Marcus felt the weight of the request. "Victoria, that's huge." "I know, but I can't think of anyone better. You're the kind of man I want my son to become." then I'd be honored. He left the hospital at dawn exhausted, but somehow lighter. Then his phone buzzed, a text from Patricia. Derek filed formal complaint with board about your spending. Emergency meeting Monday 9 a.m. Bring documentation. The peace shattered instantly. Monday morning, Marcus walked into the board conference room with a 3-inch binder of receipts and justifications. Derek sat in the corner, arms crossed. Patricia looked stressed. 3 board members waited with stern expressions. Derek presented first. Marcus Hayes has exceeded program budget by 18% in 3 months. He's approved spending on non-essential items, including gift cards, clothing vouchers, and emergency cash payments. This is financial mismanagement. The board reviewed his spreadsheet. Marcus felt sick. Marcus, can you explain these expenditures? Patricia asked. Every dollar I spent removed a barrier to employment. Marcus opened his binder. This $200 bus pass for Linda Martinez, her car broke down. Without it, she couldn't get to training. She's now employed, earning $38,000 a year. That $200 was an investment that paid off. He went through each line item. Work boots for James Porter. Emergency housing fund for Keisha Brown. Each expense justified by outcomes. Derek countered, these are Band-Aids, not solutions. You're creating dependency. I'm creating opportunity, Marcus shot back. A board member spoke, but Derek is right about the budget. At this rate, you'll be over by 30% by year end. So we raise more money, or we adjust other line items, but we don't abandon people who are this close to stability. Victoria appeared on video call holding baby Ethan. I'd like to propose something. Grant Industries will provide a $50,000 emergency supplement to Pathways Forward's budget. This covers Marcus's overage and provides cushion for the next quarter. A board member frowned. Ms. Grant, that's generous, but it doesn't address the sustainability issue. Then let's address it. Marcus, what do you need to make this program sustainable? Employers to commit upfront to hiring graduates. If we had guaranteed placements, we could budget accurately. Done. I'll personally call 10 CEOs today. Derek stood. This is exactly the problem. Every time Marcus fails, Victoria Grant bails him out. He's not succeeding on merit. He's succeeding because he has a billionaire benefactor. The room went silent. Marcus stood. Derek, you're right. Everyone looked shocked. You're right that I've been lucky. Lucky that Victoria gave me a chance. Lucky that Patricia took a risk on me. Lucky that I'm not still unemployed. But here's what you're wrong about. I'm not succeeding because Victoria is bailing me out. I'm succeeding because I'm working. 70-hour weeks, weekends, missed dinners with my daughter. He turned to the board. You want to know the difference between Derek and me? When people fail in my program, I ask, how can I help them succeed? When people fail in his view, he asks, why did we waste resources on them? That's not a budget issue. That's a values issue. The board voted. Pathways Forward would continue with supplemental funding. Marcus got a 3-month performance review instead of 6. After the meeting, Derek quit. I can't work in an organization that values connections over competence. Patricia pulled Marcus aside. You just made a powerful enemy. But you also just became a leader. That night, Thomas Garrett's LinkedIn post went viral. I fired Marcus Hayes for being late. Turns out I did him a favor. Now he's running a nonprofit funded by his billionaire girlfriend. Some people fail upward. Story at 11. The post got 80,000 views, 2,000 comments. Marcus read it on his phone while putting Emma to bed. Daddy, are you okay? I don't know, baby, but we're going to find out. Thomas Garrett's post lit a fire that spread faster than Marcus could contain. By Tuesday morning, the story had jumped from LinkedIn to Twitter, then to local news websites, then to a segment on a morning talk show discussing nepotism in the nonprofit sector. Marcus's name became shorthand for a debate he never asked to be part of. Emma came home from school crying. "Kids said you're a cheater, Daddy. They said you didn't earn your job." Marcus held her, feeling rage and helplessness war in his chest. "Baby, the truth is complicated. I got help when I needed it. Some people think that's unfair. But you help people all the time. That's not unfair." "I know, sweetheart." "Then they're wrong." She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "They're just wrong." Marcus wished he had her certainty. Wednesday brought an email from a journalist named Jessica Torres, the same one who'd interviewed him before. Subject line, "Follow-up story, your perspective." Marcus called Patricia. "Should I respond? What does your gut say?" "My gut says hiding makes me look guilty, but talking might make it worse." "Then let's control the narrative." "But Marcus, be careful. Journalists are skilled at getting you to say things you'll regret." Marcus met Jessica at a coffee shop downtown, recording equipment on the table between them. She was direct from the start. "Marcus Thomas Garrett's post has 75,000 shares now. People are calling you everything from opportunist to fraud. What's your response? That Thomas Garrett is a man who fired me for helping a pregnant woman change a tire. His opinion of my character matters less to me than the 7 families who now have stability because of Pathways Forward." "But you can't deny that Victoria Grant's intervention was extraordinary. Most people don't have a billionaire CEO in their corner." "You're right. Most people don't. That's exactly the problem." Marcus leaned forward. "I got lucky. Extraordinarily, improbably lucky. And that shouldn't be what it takes to recover from doing the right thing. The fact that my story is unusual is an indictment of the system, not proof that I don't deserve the opportunity." Jessica scribbled notes. "Some critics say you're using your connection with Victoria Grant to advance yourself. That this whole thing, Pathways Forward, your position, is built on favoritism rather than merit." "Then let them look at the data. 7 participants placed in jobs averaging $41,000 annually. Total economic impact of $287,000 in new wages over 12 weeks. Employer retention rate of 87%. Those numbers don't care about how I got the interview. They only care about results." "What about Robert Anderson?" "The participant who was arrested." Marcus felt the familiar ache. "Rob made a mistake, a serious mistake. But I visit him every week in jail. His parole hearing is next month. When he gets out, he'll have a spot waiting in Pathways Forward if he wants it. Because giving up on people when they stumble isn't compassion, it's abandonment." The interview aired Thursday evening. Social media reactions split down predictable lines. Some people praised Marcus's honesty. Others called him arrogant. Thomas Garrett posted again, "Notice he didn't deny using his connection with Grant, because he can't." That post got 40,000 more shares. Friday afternoon, Marcus was reviewing participant files when his phone rang. Unknown number, but something made him answer. "Mr. Hayes, this is Alan Crawford from 60 Minutes. We're doing a segment on second chances and social mobility. Your story came up repeatedly in our research. Would you be willing to sit down for an interview?" Marcus's hands went numb. 60 Minutes. The actual 60 Minutes. "Yes, sir. We'd like to explore how you ended up here, what Pathways Forward is accomplishing, and the broader questions your situation raises about opportunity and fairness in America." I need to talk to my director." "Of course. But Mr. Hayes, I should mention we've already reached out to Thomas Garrett. He's agreed to participate. This story is happening with or without you. The question is whether you want your voice included." After hanging up, Marcus sat very still. Then he walked to Patricia's office. 60 Minutes wants to interview me. They're doing a story on second chances. Thomas Garrett already agreed to participate." Patricia closed her laptop. "This is big, Marcus, really big. National exposure, millions of viewers. Which means millions of people forming opinions about whether I deserve to be here. Or millions of people seeing what you've actually accomplished." Patricia stood, came around her desk. Here's what I know: you're doing excellent work. The numbers prove it. The participants prove it. If 60 Minutes wants to tell that story, maybe we should let them. And if Thomas makes me look like a fraud on national television, then we trust that truth matters more than spin. Marcus wasn't sure he believed that anymore, but he called Alan Crawford back and agreed. The interview was scheduled for the following Thursday. Marcus spent the weekend preparing, reviewing every metric, every success story, every piece of data that proved Pathways Forward worked. Helen helped him practice responses to hostile questions. Emma made him promise to mention her on TV. Tell them your daughter believes in you, she insisted. That's important. Monday brought unexpected support. Linda Martinez, the single mom who'd completed medical billing certification, called Marcus. Mr. Hayes, I saw the news coverage. I wanted you to know if those reporters want to talk to someone about the program, I'll tell them the truth. You saved my life. We were 2 weeks from eviction. Now I have a job with benefits and my kids are in after-school programs for the first time in 3 years. People need to hear that. James Porter called Tuesday. I'm 55 years old. I thought my career was over. You didn't give up on me when I failed the first certification test. Now I'm training younger guys at the plant. If 60 Minutes wants to know what you're really doing, they can call me. By Wednesday, 5 participants had reached out offering to be interviewed. Marcus forwarded their information to Alan Crawford. Thursday morning, the 60 Minutes crew arrived at Horizon Community Solutions. Lights, cameras, sound equipment filling the small office. Marcus sat across from Leslie Stahl, the actual Leslie Stahl, and tried to control his breathing. Marcus Hayes, 4 months ago you were fired from a retail job for being late. Today you're running a successful nonprofit program and at the center of a national debate about merit privilege and second chances. How did this happen? I stopped to help someone change a tire. That choice cost me everything I thought I had. But it gave me something I didn't know I needed: perspective. The woman you helped was Victoria Grant, CEO of Grant Industries, one of the wealthiest people in America. Critics say you leveraged that connection for personal gain. Critics are welcome to believe that, but here's what actually happened. I helped someone without knowing who she was. I got fired for it. She felt that was unjust and gave me a referral. Not a job, a referral. I still had to interview. I still had to prove myself. And for the past 4 months, I've been working 70-hour weeks to show I belong here. Your former boss, Thomas Garrett, claims you were habitually late, that firing you was justified. Thomas and I had a conversation recently. I asked him why he really fired me. Marcus paused. He told me I was a threat, that I was too well-liked, too competent, too likely to eventually take his position. So when I gave him justification being late one time, he took it. That's not about my reliability. That's about his insecurity. Leslie raised an eyebrow. That's quite an accusation. It's what he told me. I'm just repeating it. The interview continued for 90 minutes. They filmed at the Horizon office at a training center where Keisha was learning IT skills at James Porter's workplace, where he demonstrated his new role. They interviewed Linda Martinez, who broke down crying, describing how close her family had been to homelessness. And they interviewed Thomas Garrett, who sat in his apartment noticeably smaller than Marcus expected, and defended his decision. I had no choice. Marcus was late to the most important meeting of his career. That shows poor judgment. Yes, he helped someone, but adults have to prioritize. He chose wrong. Are you concerned that your LinkedIn posts have contributed to harassment of Mr. Hayes? Thomas's jaw tightened. I'm concerned that people are celebrating mediocrity. Marcus didn't earn that job. It was handed to him because he knew the right person. That's not success. That's luck. The segment aired 3 weeks later on a Sunday evening in early December. Marcus watched it at Helen's house with Emma barely breathing through the entire 23 minutes. They opened with footage of Marcus changing Victoria's tire in the rain, recreated but close enough to the truth. Then the firing. Then the interview with Patricia explaining the hiring process. Linda crying. James demonstrating his machining skills. Keisha talking about being homeless 6 months ago. And then Leslie Stahl's closing commentary. Marcus Hayes may have gotten lucky the day he helped Victoria Grant. But luck doesn't create 70% job placement rates. Luck doesn't turn around 7 families, it says. And perhaps the real question isn't whether Marcus Hayes deserved his second chance, but why second chances are so rare that his story seems exceptional. The segment ended with statistics. Since our interview, Pathways Forward has expanded to serve 15 participants. Grant Industries has committed $5 million over 5 years to replicate the model in other cities. And Robert Anderson was granted parole. His first day back in the program is next week. Marcus's phone exploded. Texts from colleagues, from participants, from people he hadn't spoken to in years. The Horizon Community Solutions website crashed from traffic. Patricia called, laughing and crying simultaneously. Marcus, we've gotten 250 applications to Pathways Forward in the past hour. 250. That's impossible. Check your email. NBC wants you on the Today Show. NPR wants an interview. 3 universities want you as a guest lecturer. This is really happening. Emma hugged him. I told you people would understand if you explained. Helen wiped her eyes. Sarah would be so proud. But Marcus felt strangely hollow. Yes, the coverage was positive. Yes, public opinion had shifted. But at the core of everything, he was still just a man who'd helped someone change a tire. The attention felt disproportionate to the action. Monday morning brought a surprise visitor. Thomas Garrett waiting in the Horizon lobby when Marcus arrived. Thomas. Marcus stopped. What are you doing here? I need to talk to you. Thomas looked older, tired. Can we sit somewhere? They went to a conference room. Marcus closed the door, uncertain what was coming. I saw the segment. Thomas's voice was rough. The whole thing, including what you said about our conversation. I told the truth. That's what you told me, that you fired me because you felt threatened. I know. And you know what? You were right. Thomas's hands shook slightly. I've spent the past 4 months watching you succeed while I've been sending out resumes and getting nowhere. 52 years old, fired from my last position, known in the industry as the guy who got caught lying to the CEO. My career is over. Marcus felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. Thomas, let me finish. I was wrong. About you, about that morning, about everything. You didn't deserve to be fired. You deserved exactly what happened, someone giving you a chance to show what you could do. And I destroyed that because I was scared and small and... He looked up, eyes red. I'm sorry, Marcus. I'm genuinely, deeply sorry. The apology hung between them. Marcus thought about anger, about revenge, about all the ways Thomas had tried to hurt him over the past months. And then he thought about Rob Anderson, about second chances, about the man he wanted to be versus the man his pain wanted him to become. I accept your apology, Marcus heard himself say. But Thomas, you need to understand, sorry doesn't undo the damage. It's just a starting place. I know, that's why I'm here. I want to make it right. However I can. If you need someone to vouch for your character, I'll do it. If you need someone to publicly retract everything I said, I'll do it. If you need... He trailed off. What do you need? Marcus thought for a long moment. I need you to stop attacking me. I need you to let me do my work without constantly defending myself. And I need you to figure out who you want to be, because the man who fired me for helping someone isn't the man sitting here now. No, he's not. Thomas stood. Thank you for hearing me out. And Marcus, for what it's worth, you're doing something important here. Don't let anyone, including me, make you doubt that. After Thomas left, Marcus sat alone in the conference room for 20 minutes processing. Then he called Victoria. Thomas just apologized. In person, seems genuine. That's unexpected. Victoria sounded surprised. How do you feel about it? Honestly relieved. Not because I forgive him, that's going to take time, but because maybe this can finally be over. The media circus or the revenge campaign. Both. They talked for a while longer. Victoria mentioned that Ethan was sleeping through the night now that being a mother was harder and more rewarding than running a Fortune 500 company, that she was thinking about Pathways Forward expansion plans. Grant Industries Board wants to fund 10 cities in the first year, 20 by year 3. Marcus, this could help thousands of people. That's terrifying and amazing in equal measure. Welcome to my world. She paused. There's something else. I want to make you director of national programs. You'd design the model train, others expand to multiple cities. It's a significant promotion, $80,000 base salary plus equity stake in the initiative. Marcus's breath caught. 80,000, nearly double his current salary, enough to not just survive but actually build something. Victoria, I don't know if I'm ready for that kind of responsibility. You're already carrying it. I'm just making it official. He accepted. How could he not? December brought a flurry of activity. Marcus trained 3 new program coordinators for sites in Seattle, Denver, and Chicago. He traveled 1 week per month, bringing Emma during school breaks so she could see what Daddy was building. She loved hotels with pools and room service breakfasts. Are you famous now? She asked during a trip to Seattle. Not famous, just doing work people care about. Mrs. Thompson showed our class the 60 Minutes thing. Everyone was impressed. Marcus smiled. Even the kid who said I was a cheater, especially him, he apologized. Rob Anderson was released from jail 2 days before Christmas. Marcus picked him up personally, drove him to a new, sober living facility with stricter accountability, and enrolled him in an accelerated construction management program. Why are you giving me another chance? Rob asked, staring out the car window. I screwed up so bad. Because someone gave me a second chance when I needed it. And I'm not going to be the person who got grace and then refused to give it. Rob was quiet for a long time. I won't let you down again. You might, that's okay. What matters is that you keep trying. 3 months later, Rob graduated his certification program. 6 months after that, he was foreman on a commercial construction site making $52,000 a year. His daughter came to visit him every weekend. The photo he texted Marcus, Rob in a hard hat with his little girl on his shoulders, both grinning, went on Marcus's office wall next to Emma's angel wings drawing. January brought another surprise. Patricia promoted Maya Johnson to run Pathways Forward in Portland, while Marcus focused on national expansion. She was perfect for it, organized, compassionate, tough when needed. You built something special here, Patricia told Marcus during the transition meeting. Now go build it everywhere else. By spring, Second Chances Initiative, the national program's official name, was operational in 12 cities. By summer, 20 cities. The model worked partner with local training centers, provide wraparound support, guarantee job placements through employer commitments, track outcomes ruthlessly. Year 1 results came in September. 487 participants served, 72% job placement rate, average salary, $43,500, total economic impact of $14.9 million in new wages. The board of Grant Industries was thrilled. Philanthropic organizations started reaching out. Universities wanted to study the model. Ted invited Marcus to speak. Absolutely not, he told Victoria. I'm not a public speaker. You've done dozens of interviews. That's different. TED Talks they're polished, rehearsed. I'd just be a guy stumbling through a story about changing a tire. That's exactly what they want. The human behind the data. He reluctantly agreed. The talk was scheduled for October in Vancouver. No, Victoria caught the mistake. Portland conference, not Vancouver. We keep it domestic. Marcus spent 6 weeks preparing. Helen helped him practice. Emma timed his run-throughs. He rewrote the speech 11 times, trying to find the right balance between personal story and program impact. The day of the talk, he stood backstage shaking. 1,800 people in the audience. Live stream going to thousands more. Emma sat front row with Helen, giving him thumbs up. He walked out to polite applause and stood at the red circle. Took a breath. 4 years ago, I was fired for being late to work. 25 minutes late. The reason I stopped in the rain to help a pregnant stranger change a tire, he told the story. The choice, the firing, the desperation. Victoria's intervention, Patricia's faith, the first participants, Rob's struggle and eventual success, Linda's family finding stability, the expansion to 20 cities. People ask me if I deserve my second chance. The honest answer is I don't know. What I do know is that I'm not special. I'm not uniquely deserving. I just got lucky. I helped someone who had the resources to help me back. He paused, looking at the audience. But here's the thing about luck. It shouldn't be what determines whether good people get opportunities. Second chances shouldn't require random encounters with billionaire CEOs. They should be built into how we operate as a society. The Second Chances Initiative isn't charity, it's justice. It's recognizing that everyone stumbles. Everyone faces circumstances beyond their control, and everyone deserves the chance to recover without their entire future being destroyed. Rob Anderson, one of our first participants, relapsed into drug use during his training. He went to jail. Many programs would have cut him loose. We didn't. Because people aren't statistics. They're humans with complications and setbacks and potential. Rob is now a construction foreman making $52,000 a year with custody of his daughter. That's what second chances create. He finished 18 minutes later to a standing ovation. Emma was crying. Helen was crying. Marcus was crying and trying to pretend he wasn't. Backstage, his phone exploded with messages. One stood out from Thomas Garrett. That was incredible. You've built something Sarah would be proud of. Hell, I'm proud of you. Marcus stared at the message for a long time, then replied, Thank you. That means more than you know, or than... November brought the 1-year anniversary of the tire change. Marcus marked it by visiting Victoria and Ethan at their house, a surprise invitation. I wanted you to see something. Victoria led him to her home office. On the wall was a framed photo Marcus in the rain changing her tire, taken by someone driving past. She'd tracked down the photographer. I look at this every morning, she said quietly. It reminds me that the most important decisions we make are the ones nobody sees. You didn't stop to help me because anyone was watching. You stopped because it was right. Ethan, now walking unsteadily, toddled over and grabbed Marcus's leg. Up! Marcus lifted him, and the little boy laughed. Unca Marcus. Close enough. Victoria smiled. He's been practicing your name all week. They had dinner together, Victoria, Ethan, Marcus, and Emma. It felt like family. Not the family Marcus had lost, but a new kind, chosen, built through shared values and mutual support. On the drive home, Emma was quiet. Then, Daddy, Miss Victoria is nice. She is. Do you love her? Marcus nearly swerved. What? No, sweetie. We're friends. Good friends, but not like that. Okay. I just wondered. Emma went back to her tablet. Mrs. Thompson says you need to find someone to marry again eventually. Mrs. Thompson is very concerned with my personal life, apparently. She means well. Marcus smiled, despite himself. I know, baby. But right now I have you and my work and a lot of people depending on me. That's enough. Was it? Some nights, Marcus wondered. The loneliness was real. But so was the fear of letting someone in, of being vulnerable again, of risking the kind of pain Sarah's death had caused. Maybe someday. But not yet. December brought another development. The Gates Foundation announced a $10 million grant to expand Second Chances Initiative to 50 cities over 3 years. The press conference was at Grant Industries headquarters with Victoria Marcus and representatives from the Gates Foundation. A reporter asked, "Mr. Hayes, some critics still say your success is built on nepotism rather than merit. How do you respond now, 2 years later?" Marcus didn't hesitate. With data. In 2 years, Second Chances Initiative has served over 3,000 participants across 20 cities. 71% job placement rate. Average salary, $43,800. Total economic impact of $131 million in new wages. Those numbers don't care how I got my start. They only care about results. What about the perception that, let me stop you there. Marcus's voice was firm but not angry. I'm not going to spend the rest of my career defending how I got a chance. I'm going to spend it making sure more people get chances. If that makes me undeserving in some people's eyes, I can live with that. The 3,000 families with stable incomes probably can too. After the press conference, Victoria pulled him aside. That was perfect. Confident without being defensive. I'm tired of apologizing for being helped, Marcus admitted. At some point, you have to just own your story and move forward. Exactly, she smiled. You've come a long way from the guy dripping on my carpet 2 years ago. That seems like another lifetime. In some ways it was. February brought an unexpected full-circle moment. Marcus was driving Emma to school on a rainy Tuesday morning. Oregon winters never changed when he saw a car with hazard lights on the shoulder of the highway. A man standing next to it waving at traffic. Marcus didn't hesitate. He pulled over immediately. The man looked shocked as Marcus got out. Oh man, thank you. I've been here 20 minutes and nobody would stop. What's the problem? Dead battery. I have jumper cables but no one to jump it. I've got a job interview in 30 minutes and I can't miss it. It's with this new program, Second Chances Initiative. I messed up at my last job and this might be my only shot to... Marcus pulled out his jumper cables. Let's get you there. You're a lifesaver. I'm David, by the way. Marcus. He popped his hood. Tell me about this job interview. It's for an IT training program. I got fired from my last position for missing too much work. My mom was sick and I was taking care of her. Nobody would hire me after that, but this Second Chances place, they actually listened to your story instead of just seeing terminated on your resume. Marcus smiled as he connected the cables. Sounds like a good program. You know anything about it? A little bit. I think you'll do great at the interview. Just be honest about what happened and show them you're ready to work hard. 5 minutes later, David's car started. He grabbed Marcus's hand. Thank you so much. I'll pay this forward, I promise. I know you will. Marcus got back in his car. As he drove away, Emma looked at him. That was someone going to interview for your program. It was. And you didn't tell him you're in charge of it. Didn't seem relevant. He needed a jump start. I had cables, that's all that mattered. Emma smiled. You're still helping people even when nobody's watching. That's the only time it really counts, baby. 3 weeks later, David completed his interview process and was accepted into the Seattle program. His case manager sent Marcus an update. David mentioned someone helped him when his battery died before the interview, said the guy's name was Marcus. Small world, Marcus smiled and filed the report away. April brought Marcus's 39th birthday. Helen threw a party at her house with Emma Victoria and Ethan Patricia and the Horizon team, several Pathways Forward participants, including Rob, Linda, and James. Thomas Garrett sent a gift basket with a card, "To New Beginnings. Thank you for showing me what forgiveness looks like." Marcus stood in Helen's backyard watching Emma chase Ethan around while Rob showed James photos of his daughter's honor roll certificate. Linda was talking with Patricia about potentially becoming a case manager herself. Victoria was laughing at something Maya said. You built a family. Helen came up beside him. Not the one you expected, but a family. Yeah, Marcus felt the truth of it. Yeah, I did. Sarah would be happy for you, not just the professional success, but this people who care about you and each other. I think about her every day. Wonder what she'd say about all this. She'd say you're exactly who she always knew you were, a man who helps people, even when it costs him everything, especially then. That night after Emma was asleep, Marcus pulled out Sarah's journal, the one she'd given him years ago that he'd barely used. He wrote about the past 2 years, the firing, the fear, the unexpected grace of Victoria's help, Rob's struggle and triumph, the expansion of second chances, David on the side of the road, the family he'd built from the rubble of loss. He wrote, I don't know if I deserved my second chance, but I know I've tried to be worthy of it. I've helped hundreds of people find their own second chances. I've proven that character matters, that kindness matters, that the right thing is still the right thing even when it destroys you. Emma drew me with angel wings. She was wrong and right at the same time. I'm not a hero. I'm just someone who stopped in the rain. But maybe that's all heroes are, regular people who choose compassion when it would be easier to drive past. I miss you, Sarah. Every single day. But I'm okay now. More than okay. I'm building something that matters. Something you would have loved. And I'm doing it with people who chose to help me when I needed it most. Thank you for teaching me that kindness isn't weakness, that helping others doesn't diminish you, that the measure of a life isn't in what you achieve but in what you give. He closed the journal and sat in the quiet kitchen for a long time. Through the window he could see rain starting to fall. He smiled. Let it rain.